Hey you guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome to another episode of this Piscean Reports. How's everybody doing? Oh my goodness, hopefully you are having a great day. I know I am. I got my energetic, my spiritual recharge and feeling good today. And I hope you guys, hopefully this message will get you in that same space as well. For those of you new to my channel, welcome aboard. For those of you who are returning, welcome back. Welcome back. All right, so there's a couple of things that I just wanted to kind of talk about today. As I told you guys a while back that I had, was lucky enough to get Pastor Osteen's book about the chosen, and I was reading it, and there was this brief little thing in snippet in the book where he was talking about Joseph when he was a slave, and how he was living in Potiphar's house, and how Potiphar was being blessed just by the favor and the fact that he had a chosen seed in his home. And that got me thinking. I was sitting here today looking out the window, and I was thinking about that. I talked to you guys about the chosen, and I wanted to touch on that again. So I'm thinking about making this title, The Chosen's Blessings and Favor Affect Those in Their Close Proximity. And let's see, which one do I want to start with first? I want to give you guys, and then let me say this to you guys as well. Hold on, move that before it stops on me while I'm talking. I wanted to ask you guys, have you, and that is the truest statement that I have seen so far. I talked about off camera, I talked about the Most High, his favor in my life, and I was just wanting to ask you guys, have any of you, those of you who are chosen, have you ever thought about that? Have you ever sat back and noticed how the favor on your life literally affects those in your proximity? And some of them may have no clue, but think about that. Really think about that. Have you been blessed? Has the Most High shown you so much favor that whoever's close, family, friends, co-workers, have been blessed just by virtue of the fact that they're in your space, or you're, there. And I was thinking about this the other day, and I had thought about it myself, and I said that's really true, because the examples that came to me, that the Most High, my guides, my angels, I don't know if it's necessarily Most High, I always say he's a busy man, he's got a lot of things to do. So when I start seeing these examples and these things, I feel it's more my guides and my angels showing me, and I thought about when I first started working at my job. I got hired for seasonal help, and when it came time for that season to be over, I was so sure I was not going to continue being there, but they were like, no, you're good, you're fine, like you're going to keep working here. And I was so excited about that. And as I was working, I remember my supervisor saying to all of us one day, she said to us, you know what, you guys, you need to be getting these hours, like appreciate these hours, these extra hours that are being offered to you, because there's going to be a period where there's going to be a slow period, and so take advantage of this time, and I was like, oh my gosh, because I never, I was new, I don't know, because I was like, I got hired for the busy season, right? And I was like, oh my God, let me save, because I don't want to, be out here bad when the slow period hits, and then I'm struggling. And what I found amazing is that the slow period never came for me. It never came for me. And what I find amazing is those around me are experiencing the same thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like the Most High's favor, God's favor, the favor of the universe is on the chosen so much that just by virtue of the fact that I'm there, and I thought about that as I was working, I was like, wow, all these people are being blessed, because the Most High is like, she said that, but you're never going to see that. You're never going to experience that. You're not going to experience that slow period that she spoke about. And I worked constantly. I was, I would pick up days, and had extra time and the whole nine. And it just never affected me. I'm waiting. I kept saying, any minute now, the slow period, any minute now. And the slow period never came, because now we are going back into that season. Now it's now back to school. And then the holidays will be back upon us again. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. Like, God's favor on the chosen is amazing, and it's affecting, his, I'm going to make sure that you don't know that period, and it literally affected others. They were like, can you stay, can you stay, can you stay, oh my goodness, can you stay, we need this and there's that, and so it is very true. This statement that I read in that book, that Joel had made, called The Chosen, and it's true, and I thought again, I was at work and it was about time to go home, and the time that we had that tornado in my area, a coworker said he was watching the radar, and at one point it looked like the tornado was literally on top of us. He said, and he said, I don't know how we did not get destroyed. I don't know how we didn't get torn up, and I kind of joked. I was joking, because I don't think that was truly the case, but at the same time, it was like, it's just like funny to think, like, if what he says is true and the tornado was over like that, because I wouldn't think we didn't hear a rumbling and a roar, but he says according to the radar, it was either very close or it just seemed like it was damn near, on top of us, and he was like, I don't know how we didn't get tore up, so I joked and I said, that's because I was here. And then I look over and I go, you're welcome, and I was kidding when I said it, but, and I was like, as I'm walking home, I was like, if what he says is true, that would be kind of amazing. And as I walked home, I came up on my building. I told you guys, so many homes, it doesn't make any sense. So many apartment complexes and buildings were affected terribly. There's so many roofs out here right now with tarps on them, just waiting to be addressed and fixed and taken care of. There's a brand new apartment complex on the end of the corner where I live, brand new, state of the art. It had everything, and I really felt for those people, because you looked at it and it was amazing, and it had this gorgeous exercise room with this cute lighting and the whole line. It was fantastic. I envied them as I used to walk around, go, God dang, you guys are so lucky, that's amazing. And it got tore up. So much so to the point to where everybody had to leave. And I can't imagine moving into this state-of-the-art apartment and thinking I'm good to go, and only to have this tornado tear up my world and then send me out. And as I'm walking home, I'm looking at all the devastation that's still, all these people waiting for their buildings to be fixed and repaired. And I walk up on mine, and I still cannot believe to this day. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. I cannot imagine. I don't know how we didn't get damaged. There was one person, their window got broke. Only one out of this huge complex that I'm living in. And I thought to myself, that's the Most High's favor. That's God's favor on your life. I came in the next day seeing all of that outside, and I was scared to come into my apartment and see what I was going to see. And I came in and everything was still the same. And I was shocked, and that's what I mean. The God's favor on the chosen is unreal, and because I feel, and this is just me, and you can say it's big head, it's that didn't, but when you see everything that happened around us and how this building and everybody else's roofs and everything is tore up and messed up, and yet here we are and we're fine, and I just can't help. And I feel like you are chosen seed, and because you are chosen seed, those around you did not experience what the others did. Because you're chosen seed, those around you got to continue working. They never experienced a slow period. And I want all of the chosen out there to really think about that. Like the Most High's favor on my life is so great that the people at my work this, or the people in my community that, my friends this, I I trip off of that, you know. When I became homeless, and the Most High, you know, my biggest fear when I became homeless for the first time was that I'm literally going to be on the street. I have nowhere to go, you know. And I've said about it again off camera, but it's worth repeating. It's worth saying openly. You know, this is my testimony. It's not bragging. It's my testimony. Okay. When I was homeless, I was the biggest fear was that I was going to go out and just be out in the street. I got kicked out in January, and it was dead dog cold here. Oh, it was so cold. It was brutal. And I was afraid that I was going to die on the street. I was going to have nowhere to go. And I was going to die on the street. And I called, and I'd heard about, you know, stories about shelters, how nasty they are and how just ugly. There's bed bugs and all kind of nastiness and roaches and the whole nine at all these shelters. And the very first shelter I called, and they took me in, and this place was so clean. It got, you know, of all the places I could have called, I had my phone, and here's the shelters, and I'm looking at it, and I could have quite easily have picked one of those ones, because I know the shelter. I know several of them where that was the truest of the true. They ended up having to close it because it was so nasty, you know, and unkept and you know, it wasn't well run and the whole nine. But anyway, and to pick this one place and have it be the right place. I landed there. It was clean. It was run by these missionaries, you know, the sweetest ladies you could ever meet. I was amazed, you know, but what I found, sorry, I feel like there's about to be something coming through. Let me put you on hold for just a second. I'm sorry, guys, hold on. Okay, sorry. Anyway, so what I was amazed by, and it amazes me to this day, the fear that I had that I was going to be out there and alone, and the Most High was so protective, you know, to send me to a place where I was going to be safe, to send me a place that was clean. And the most amazing part of this particular shelter, which, you know, was the icing on the cake, the ultimate, you know, assurance that God truly had you, was when on Fridays, Red Lobster would come to the shelter and deliver, you know, food. And so every Friday we had like fried shrimp and, you know, scallops and not the scallops. We had fried shrimp, crab legs, lobster tails, you know. It was amazing, and fried catfish. It was amazing. I was completely blown away at God's goodness. Like I got you. I was afraid for nothing. To this day, I say to myself, you were afraid for nothing. You were scared for nothing. Like you were worried for nothing. You're the Most High. When you are chosen, the Most High has you. He has you. You know, and so I wanted to just like share that with you guys. And then he talked about Potiphar, and I wanted to make sure I wrote this down. You know, Potiphar, he mentioned in the book that Potiphar was blessed, not necessarily because of who he was, but because he had Joseph in his house. And I was curious. I was like, man, how long was Joseph a slave, you know? So I looked it up, and it said, you know, Joseph was a slave for 11 years. He was sold into slavery at the age of 17, and he became the governor of Egypt at age 30. And then they talked about a brief 2-year period where he was thrown in jail for interpreting the dreams of a baker and cupbearer. And I just, you know, and I tripped off of that, you know, God's favor on your life, you know. And also I wanted to expand on Joseph real quick. When I saw that, you know, that Joseph was a slave for, you know, 11 years. And I thought to myself, what does that tell you, you know? And when I saw that, I said, you know, it could be one of two things, and I want to share that with you guys as well. If you are going through it, and this is the only reason why I mention all of this, because I saw a young lady on the internet the other day. Anton Daniels had put this video up, and this young lady was crying, and she was going through it, and she was like, everything that could go wrong could go wrong. She was going through it. So, she found out her child or somebody had diabetes, and then her grandmother had taken ill, and she's working 2 jobs, and her house note or rent, I guess, was $2,500, and she was just going through it and crying, and it kind of tripped off of it, because Anton said, why, he said, and I don't understand why people do that. And I just want to answer that real quick for anyone out there who says, why do people go online and just tell their story or share their struggle? And it's some people say, how can you just put your business out there like that? Like, how could you do that? And there's an answer for that, and it's so easy. Not everybody has and someone close by that they could lean into. They don't have someone that they could turn to. They don't have, what I mean? Or maybe you do talk to somebody and they're just like, oh, just get over it and you're going to be okay and just deal with it, or da-da-da-da. And you just want someone somewhere in the world, someone to just say to you, it's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Lean into the Most High. When I saw that woman crying, I thought to myself, when, she's going through it right now. And I said, I wonder if she recognizes that it could be one of two things. I don't know her world, but I thought about this. It could be a situation where she's someone who grew up in affluence her whole life, or maybe she's never known struggle. It ain't even got to be affluence. Let's say you just never known struggle in your life. Your parents had great jobs and they took you went to the good schools and you had a great life, and now you're out in the world and now it's your turn. Okay, they always talk about the wheel of fortune. Nobody stays down forever and nobody stays up forever. And so here comes that moment where she's now on the downturn, and it's hard for her to process, and it's difficult, and she's struggling and stressing, and just wants someone to say it's gonna be okay. It's going to be okay. So for anybody out there, if you are just like that woman and you're going through it right now, just like when I was homeless and I had no one to turn to, but yet and still the Most High took care of me. My guides, my angels, they guided me to the right place. It's going to be okay. You're going to be all right, And sorry, I got distracted. I apologize. You know what I mean? So anybody who's going through it, if you hear someone go online and say, I can't take this, I can't handle this, it could be that whole Wheel of Fortune situation where you are just on that downturn, and just hang on, because you're not going to stay down forever. Nobody stays down forever. I could never have envisioned the Most High taking me from homeless. You're going to be on your own and guiding me to one shelter and then to the other shelter. And because I did that, I qualified for this. And I was able to come off the street and then have that. And even when I lost that apartment, once again, the Most High is like, don't worry. And they sent me to the place where I had to stay, and it was difficult and it was hard, and those hard times are definitely difficult. They're sometimes it's all you could take, it's all you could do to get through it, but trust. Look at it this way. These are those periods. Look at it like that. Is this that period where the Most High says, do you trust me? Do you trust me? Yes, what you're experiencing at this time is uncomfortable, but do you trust me? Do you, you're going to be okay. Could be that period. Let me see. So for her, it's either that, or it is that point where you have that crisis of faith. We all experience it. Everybody experiences that crisis of faith moment. This is where you find out, do you really believe in the Most High? Do you really believe that He is, or that your angels are, that they are? Okay, so here comes that moment when it's time to prove it. Just like Potiphar, he was a slave, but he still probably kept God in his heart and kept it in his life. I'm a slave, but it could always be worse. I could have been killed. I could still be in prison, but instead I'm in this house of Potiphar. So let me make the best of this. Let me keep that positive attitude. Let me do what I got to do. And Potiphar was probably amazed, like, wow, you're a slave, and yet you keep this positive attitude. You keep this attitude of gratitude, you know. And that's all. This could be that period. This is that period for some of you guys. If you're going through it, it's one or the other. It's that Wheel of Fortune experience where you was up for a long time and now it's time to go down. But hang on, you can get through it. You know, when by your faith is first and foremost. Whatever you believe in, worship, whoever you pray to, faith is everything. That is what gets you through it. That is that period. That's that thing that says, you know, we're here. Do you really believe we're here? Do you really know we're here, that we're here for you? Do you trust us? Do you trust us to keep doing the right thing even when the wrong thing is happening? Do you trust us? You know, and when you prove it, yes, I still have faith. I know that you're here. I am never going to sway from my favor of my faith and my belief in you. And that's when things then begin to turn up and you experience that upturn and you're back on top again. And the Most High says, well done. Well done. You know, you did it. You went through it. You did it. You made it. I'm proud of you. It's in that moment when the Most High says you deserve everything. You have gone through it, and yet you never wavered in your faith and your belief in me that we are here for you. And now here's your reward. You see what I mean? So anybody who's going through it, hang in there. You're going to be fine. Like, believe that. You know, in the same way I had to believe. I didn't have any proof nowhere. I can't tell you how many times I would, at the end of the day, when they told us to come back into the shelter to chill for the night before bed, and I would, in the summertime, I would look out the window. I would always go off to myself, and I'd look out the window and stare off into the sunset, and I was like, I was scared. I was scared, you know, how long is this going to last? What is going to happen after this? Where am I going to go? What am I going to do? And something in me would just say, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay, you know, and I was, you know, and you will be. If you're going through it, you're going to be okay. Potiphar went through it. I mean, not Potiphar. Joseph went through it. He experienced betrayal. He experienced prison. He experienced, slavery. And because he kept his faith, because he kept believing in the unseen, he was rewarded and became governor of Egypt. You see what I'm saying? That's what happens. And really think about that. For those of you who are chosen, think about how amazing. Really ask yourself, is my blessing really that good that the favor on my world is affecting others? Is it really like that? Think about it. Ask yourself. Sit back and kind of focus on that. How is my favor affecting somebody else? I'm sure you're going to find it. I'm so sure. So sure. Is there anything else that I wanted to touch on? Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. For anybody, to the chosen, and I still, look, to those who are making those shirts, I still haven't gotten my shirt yet, but when I was watching, Pastor Osteen this morning, for those of you who are spiritual, I'm sorry. And I know you're like, are you sure you're spiritual? I am, but it's like, and I'm kind of tripping off of that whole thing, and whatever, I'll say that off camera. But yeah, I haven't gotten my t-shirt, you guys. I'm still waiting on that t-shirt. And what would really be cool, and what I think would be so amazing, if one day Pastor went up to speak, and as he starts to look out into the crowd, he sees a sea of blue shirts that say Chosen. We support you. Look, we got the book. We know we're chosen. We got our chosen shirt on, and I think that would be fabulous, because I actually saw some people in the crowd who had chosen shirts on, and I was like, there you go, that's amazing, that's awesome. But yeah, so just know, okay, those of you who are crowned with the Most High's favor, really think about that. Really look at the examples that the Most High has given you, your guides, your angels have given you, to show you that you are favored. Think about the times where it could have been so much worse, had it not been for God's favor. And even when you are going through it, even when you're in the worst situations possible, it's shaping you and molding you in some way. Try to look at it that way. Everything always works out. Like I said, nobody stays down forever and nobody stays up forever. And when you look at it in those terms, it makes those times when you have to go down easier to bear. You just got to do one thing. Okay, this too shall pass. I'm crowned with favor. I know the Father loves me. I know my guides and angels are with me. They try to focus on the examples that they're showing you in your life. Times where you didn't think you was going to be able to pay that bill, and yet money showed up. You got a bonus somehow. You got a raise. Whoops, you got asked to work some extra hours. That's perfect. That's just what I needed to take care of that car note or that house note or that gas bill or electric bill. My phone. It's time, back to school time. How am I going to get these clothes for my kids? And then they say, listen, we're expecting a upturn in business, and can you be available? Yep, there's your answer. There it is. The Most High said, I got you. And lean into that. God has got me so good. Oh my God, His favor on my life is so good and so amazing. Even in the hard times, even in the jacked up times, even in the worst times, try to lean into those things. Try to look for the examples and proofs in where He showed up in your life in the past, and here He is now showing up in your world in the present. He's always here for you. And if you're going through it, remember the teacher is always the quietest when you're going through a test. It could be a test of faith. You're being favored, and now let me show you just how favored you are. Even when you're homeless, I got you. You're going to be in a nice place, and you're going to be able to eat really good food at least once a week. I ate good food technically all week, because someone was always donating, but nothing was better than Friday. and it was always in so much abundance. Nobody ever just had to only get one plate of something. It was so much of it, that you could go back for more. It was so much shrimp. Those who love fried shrimp, I was a fan of the crab legs. Nobody else liked them. There was crab legs in abundance, and I love that. And the biscuits and lobster tails, and that's God's love, showing out. This is how much I love you. I got you to the right place. You don't have to experience bed bugs. You're able to get up and shower and get dressed and go out into the world. And when you come back, look what we got for you. Look for those moments in your world. Look for those moments. They're there. I promise you. But it takes a little looking and a little digging. And for that young lady, like I said, that she's going through it, she just needed somebody to just tell her it's going to be okay. It's that either that crisis of faith moment, or it's that moment where, she's experienced the best in life for a long time, and now it's time to experience the struggle. Everybody's got to experience it. How are you going to know the good if you never experienced the bad? Look at it that way. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and go, you guys. I hope you liked the message. If you did, hit the like button or not, whatever. It's not about that. It's about me doing my part in the world, and it'll show up one way or another. It'll show up, so it's all good. But anyway, I hope you guys like the message. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time on the next video. You guys have a blessed day. All right. Talk to you later. Bye bye.